a review, mom's first regular review, and a putative father hearing. May I have the names of our participants, please?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Ariel Berger here is the guardian ad litem.
Nastasia Thomas, on behalf of the department, I have Miss Brittany Kelly present, who would be able to handle the putative father component, and Miss Eva Kopis, who is the foster care worker. Miss Kelly, can you please state your name for the record, and then Miss Kopis.
Brittany Kelly for the department.
Ocurrs, child welfare specialist with MDHHS.
Thank you. All right, he's cute, but you might need to take him into the hallway. Just so you know. Go ahead.
Katerina Dumont covering for Mr. McFarland for the mother.
And I'm Lee Heiss. I'm attorney for the putative father.
All right. Well, Ms. Berger, whenever you're ready. I know. Yeah. You're our GAL, right?
I am.
That's what I thought. Go ahead.
I have been able to visit with a minor child during the reporting period. I believe this time was a virtual visit, but she seems to be doing really well. She's growing. She's adjusting really well to being in her grandfather's home. They were finally able to get like daycare sorted out, which took a while at the beginning. And they were kind of switching, taking time off of work, but it seems that they're in a schedule now. They're in a routine and everything seems to be going really well. I have not been able to get into contact with mom or dad this reporting period. Mom, I guess, was in a rehab facility, I think in Monroe, but since has left, and I believe there might be some warrants out right now. So there's still some concerns with ongoing criminality, sobriety, things like that. And I don't think that any visits have happened either since the last time we were here. So at this point, Your Honor, I'm just asking to keep everything the status quo, continue with mom doing services and making sure that this kiddo is getting the best care that she can. And I believe that she is in her current placement with her family. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Thomas, which aspect of today's hearings would you like to tackle first?
Your Honor, if I can address the putative father component first. Ms. Kelly, can you please remind us how you are familiar with this matter?
I was the investigator for the CPS investigation.
And did you file the original petition for jurisdiction removal in this matter?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And at that time, who was named as a potential biological father of the child?
Caton Matthews.
And you had one phone contact with Mr. Matthews, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And after the removal hearing, the preliminary hearing, did you have any further contact with Mr. Matthews?
I did not.
Okay. And what you had filled out an affidavit of efforts to get publication notice on Mr. Matthews. And in there you indicate that you had interviewed Miss Walden as relates to his whereabouts. Is that true?
Yes.
And what was the outcome of that interview?
At that time, she didn't have any information as to where he could be located or how I could communicate with him.
Okay, and then in your affidavit, you've also noted that you interviewed Miss Nancy Noble. Who is that individual and what was the outcome of that contact?
Nancy is Caton's mom, and she had not had any contact with him while I was investigating or attempting to locate him.
And you had checked the federal and state correctional system to the best of your ability, is that correct?
Yes, and I was in contact with law enforcement throughout the investigation also.
And at any point in time, was he ever able to be located within any like facility or is he incarcerated at all? Okay. And there is an address, a last known address that you were able to identify as 2305 Shelley Street in Ypsi. Were you able to attempt to make contact with him at that address?
I did attempt a face-to-face contact at that address. I spoke with a man living there. He said that Caton didn't live there. He didn't really have an idea of who that was. I gave him my business card in case Caton showed up. And then I also sent a letter to Caton at that address.
Okay. And utilizing the phone number that you did have contact with Mr. Matthews on, were you able or did you attempt to call him, text message him, or email him at the email address he provided after the preliminary hearing?
I attempted phone calls, text messages, and emails regarding the court intervention and process.
Okay. And are you aware that, I guess, were you notified that there was a publication notice provided for today's hearing as relates to Mr. Matthews?
Yes.
Okay. And during your investigation, did Ms. Walden indicate whether there were any other potential biological fathers for this child?
No.
Thank you. With that, Your Honor, I have no further questions of Ms. Kelly. And I would ask the court, I'm hopeful that the court record reflects that there is a publication notice and an affidavit of that publication notice for the Ann Arbor Independent, which would have taken place in Washtenaw County, which is the last known address for Mr. Matthews.
I do have that. The order for alternate service issued July 31st, 2024. The publication notice was also provided. And on August 5th, the court received proof of publication affidavit from the Ann Arbor Independent along with a copy of what was posted. It does not appear that this was circulated to the other parties. Ms. Heiss, have you seen these documents?
I have not.
Right. For future reference, Ms. Thomas and for our caseworkers, we need to make sure we send copies of these things to all of the other attorneys associated with the case. You can't just file them with the court and hope for the best. You'll need to make sure that everyone gets copies. So if you use this one time, would you be so willing to make a copy for Ms. Heiss?
Well,
Did you also want a copy, Mr. Mott? Two, please. Please. All right. Do you have any questions at this point, Ms. Heiss?
Yes, just briefly. Ms. Kelly, the person that you're trying to locate doesn't really go by his first name of Caton. Is that true?
True.
So when you look at his last known address and you knock on the door, are you asking for Caton or his commonly used name of Ace?
I can't remember if I asked that person if Ace lived there. I don't know if I used his alias.
And Facebook, have you looked through Facebook? I didn't notice it on the affidavit of efforts.
I did look on Facebook and I located a Facebook. But at that point I had a working phone number that I'd communicated with him on, so I don't believe I contacted him on Facebook.
So he stopped responding to this phone number that you've listed, the 734 phone number at some point, correct?
Yes, almost immediately after I had a conversation with him, like 8 hours after that conversation, I had no further contact with him via phone.
Okay, and did you use the Facebook contact that you had found after that phone number went ineffective?
I don't think I attempted Facebook because my messages were still going through and I was still able to, the phone number was still in working service, so I was still attempting to contact him via that number.
And then who gave you this last known address?
I found it in our bridges system that's connected to like services that people receive through the state of Michigan.
Do you recall the date that was a known address? I mean, was it even a year?
Yes, it was an active case that he had applied for and provided that address as his home address.
Okay, and so it was after this child was born out of state that you found that address in state, correct?
Correct.
So it was after 2023?
Correct.
I noticed that his name changes spelling. Tell me the difference between Katin and Kaytin. What's the difference? Are you searching both?
His legal name is spelled Katon. The only difference I found anywhere else was the email he provided, which was spelled different than his legal name.
Okay, you got the legal name from the Bridges system?
Correct.
And then he gave you the email address that was spelled differently?
Correct.
Okay. So this Ann Arbor paper where this was published, I assume that has readership in Ypsilanti?
I'm sorry, I don't understand what that means. Readership, is that what you said?
Readership, yeah. People in Ypsilanti get circulation of this newspaper, this Ann Arbor Independent.
I would believe so. Celine's part of, very close to Ann Arbor.
Who picked that publication for notice?
I believe it would be our attorney.
Okay, so I bet there's information that is circulated there. Is there any other publication or way of publishing to this putative father that you can think of that we haven't used that might be successful?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay, how about placement? Do they have contact with ACE?
I don't believe so.
Okay. And it's mother's self-report that this is the father, and that's the only way we've identified him as a putative father. Is that correct?
Correct.
There is no affidavit of parentage in Mississippi or Michigan. Right.
I don't have that information. I think that foster care worker would have that answer.
Okay. Thank you. I have nothing further.
Okay.
No questions, Your Honor.
Any redirects? Or I'm sorry, Ms. Berger, any questions?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Very good. All right. Any other witnesses?
I can call Ms. Walden just as for the purpose of determining whether she's had contact with Mr. Matthews. Thank you. Ms. Walden, you've heard the testimony of Ms. Kelly today as relates to Mr. Caton Matthews.
Yes, I did.
And do you have any current contact information for him?
I have no idea where he is or what he's doing. I'm at Oakdale Recovery Center, and I've been in here, and I've been here since the 4th of the month. So I have no idea where he is.
Okay. When is the last time that you spoke with him or saw him?
It's been many months. Trying to think. It was before Lucky was even 1, and her birthday's February. I don't know, it's been a long time.
Thank you for that. And as it relates to any other potential biological fathers for the child, are there any other names that you can provide?
No, he's the father.
Okay. And do you recall ever signing an affidavit of parentage in Mississippi when the child was born?
I'm not even sure what an affidavit is.
Okay. Do you recall maybe his name like on a birth certificate or some other legal document naming him as the father?
And the hospital, I put him down as the father on the birth certificate.
Was he present with you?
No.
Okay. Thank you for that information. I have no further questions of this witness, Your Honor.
To the best of your ability, how do you think we spell his first name?
His name is Katon, and his middle name is Harding, Harding, and his last name is Matthews.
Does he go by Ace?
He goes by Ace, yes.
Okay. When's the last time you saw him?
Let me think. In December, maybe.
Okay. Have you ever known him to live in Ypsilanti?
Yeah, he's from Ypsi. I'm not sure whereabouts he stays, but
Do you know any of his relatives in Ypsilanti?
no. I don't know if he has any relatives in Ypsilanti. I just know his mother and his sister live in Clinton, which is in Lenawee County.
Do you know their names?
Yes.
What is that?
His mother's name is Nancy Noble, which there's been contact with her during CPS, and then his sister's name is Alicia German.
Thank you very much. I have nothing further.
No question.
Ms. Berger, any questions?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right. Anything else you'd like us to hear from Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Nice?
I have no witnesses today. Thank you.
Your Honor, I would call Ms. Walden just to get a little bit more information from her. Or are we just on the putative father?
Just on the putative
Oh,
father
then
issue.
no witnesses.
Okay. Anything else on the putative father issue, Ms. Berger?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, comments? What would you like to do from here, Ms. Thomas?
Thank you, Your Honor. I would ask the court to determine that efforts were made to locate and identify the putative father. I believe that we have adequate notice, especially for Mr. Matthews. Ms. Kelly was able to speak with him before the preliminary hearing. or the day of in June, and he did not exercise any interest or his rights to appear for that hearing. So I would ask the court to make that determination that the child does not have a known father at this point in time, and that we release Ms. Heiss from her obligations of appearing moving forward. Thank you.
Ms. Heiss.
Thank you, Your Honor. I do believe it would be appropriate to find that the father is unknown. The affidavits of efforts are pretty thorough, and he has had a chance to respond to this publication in the Ann Arbor Independent. And the file is in order. The reasonable efforts have been made, and so that this child doesn't have a legal father, she has a putative father, and I don't have any real argument left after today's hearing testimony. Thank you.
Ms. Dumont?
No argument here.
Ms. Berger?
Nothing, Your Honor. I'm not necessarily opposed to releasing him at this time.
Thank you. Well, the court finds that for our purposes, Kate Matthews was informed of what was happening. I have in my notes and do recall that when the petition was filed, he was in contact with Ms. Kelly, and she testified about her efforts at that point to engage him. Even at that point, having a number and giving him the information about the removal hearing, he sort of just disappeared after that. And so the department has continued to produce diligent efforts to locate him, including that publication, which also satisfies the statute with regard to doing everything we can in order to engage Kate Matthews to allow him to step forward and assert any parental rights he may have to this child. At this point, because he has failed to respond or engage, and because I do find that efforts have been completed in order to try to do that, I am making the finding that the putative father was unknown and cannot be identified at this time for all those reasons. As it relates to the first regular review hearing on Ms. Kayla Walden's progress, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Honor. I would just recall Ms. Kayla Walden.
All right, she has been sworn. You may proceed.
Thank you. Ms. Walden, I know that you stated you've been, I'm sorry, did you say Oakland?
It's called Oakdale. It's in Canton.
Oakdale. Okay, and it's a rehabilitative or an inpatient treatment?
Yes, so it's a 21-day program. So I leave here on this Wednesday, I believe, and I'm going to transitional housing.
Okay. Did you have an opportunity to review the court report that Ms. Kopis provided for today's hearing?
I didn't get a written report. I'm not sure where they sent it or whatever, but I never got a written report.
All right, I will say, Ms. Thomas, I apologize for the interruption, but that is consistent with what the proof of service indicates. It indicates non-service because they were unable to locate without any current information. But I also reflect in my file an email address, although apparently those emails that were sent to the one we have on file were also rejected. So we're going to need some updated information from you, Ms. Kayla Walden, in order to be able to get you these things effectively in the future.
Okay. On hand, I don't have the address right with me, but I mean, I can, I don't know, send it, email it, or whatever.
All right, well, we'll let you work with Ms. Kopis about that, and we'll get some, whatever information we can from you at the end of today's hearing.
Okay.
All right, Ms. Thomas, you may proceed.
Thank you. Okay, I know, Ms. Holden, that you've not had the opportunity to review the court report, so I'm just going to kind of walk through it with you, okay?
Okay.
To the best of your knowledge, do you know when the last time you spoke with Ms. Kopis was?
I tried contacting her when I was in Monroe rehab, and the couple times I tried calling her, she didn't answer. But she left her number for me to call her. I didn't have a cell phone to call her on my own, so I was using their phone, and you can only use it at certain time, you know. So
What are the dates that you were at the Monroe facility?
I got there on the 21st of August. I left, and only stayed there about 5 days.
Was that the entirety of the treatment plan or the treatment
No.
program that?
I'm not
Okay.
sure exactly what the court order was. It wasn't specified, so I'm not sure what it was. I'm not sure how long I was supposed to stay there. I don't know. It wasn't working out for me. I didn't like that rehab. I left.
Okay, and then did you contact Ms. Copus between, I'll say August 26th or 27th and September 4th?
No.
How did you end up at the Canton facility?
I left Monroe. When I was at Monroe, I've been having a lot of mental problems and neurological problems, and I really need to go in to see a neurologist. So I'm having problems with my memory, and I'm having seizures. So when I was in Monroe, that was happening underneath all the fluorescent lights. So I was having a hard time speaking, talking, and I was having bad tics. So they sent me to the hospital, and at the hospital, they did not take me serious and they did not test me. So I left there, and then my mom went with me to U of M or St. Joe's it was, and I went there, and the doctor still didn't test me for the seizures. He said, "You're talking to me, so you're not having a seizure." And I said, "Absence seizures, I can walk and talk during those." And he goes, "Well, yeah, you're right." Then finally he gave me a referral to a neurologist, and I came here. I went to the engagement center before I got here, and the center is this place you can go and basically wait there until you can get into a treatment center. So that's where I went, and I never went to see a neurologist. Yeah, and since I've been here, I'm trying to get my therapist before I leave here. I've been trying to get her since I've been here to help me set up an appointment with a neurologist because I can't remember where they referred me to at the hospital. My memory's so bad.
Okay. So with being at the new treatment center, since then, have you contacted Ms. Copus to let her know that's where you were?
I haven't contacted anybody since I've been here. I've just been literally just focusing on my recovery. And I enjoy this place, and I'm going to transitional when I leave here.
Okay. And when would you say your sobriety date is?
My sobriety date
Yes.
before I came here. So I was at the engagement center. So I was at the engagement center for like 4 days, but I wasn't clean all of those 4 days. You know what I mean? I don't know. I haven't been counting, but I've been clean since I've been here. You know what I mean? I've been in treatment. But I'm literally having really bad neurological problems. I can't even remember what I ate for breakfast this morning, and that's not a joke. Life is really easy in here, and I still don't even know what time smoke breaks are to go out. You know what I mean? So I need some help. And I'm just literally just trying to do the best I can to get through day by day.
And have you had any contact with your father to check on the well-being of your child?
I have not, but I know my daughter's safe. I'm not allowed to have visits with her anyway while I'm in here. Once I go to transitional, I'll be able to leave, and I won't be so, institutionalized. We're not allowed to have visits here with our kids or our family.
Okay. So,
I just really haven't contacted him because I know she's okay. And the whole thought of it really just upsets me. I just did 72 days in jail. And the day I came to jail was the first day I've ever left her in her whole entire life. So it traumatized me really. And the whole idea of all this, it just really upsets me, the whole idea of it. It's hard for me to face still.
So just to confirm, you have not participated in like a psychological evaluation at this time?
They've gave me, we have a psychiatrist here and she's evaluated me. She had never helped me get an appointment with a neurologist. I'm still waiting for that. I've had seizures since I've been here, and they've just put me on seizure meds, which are helping a lot.
Okay. And have you engaged in any like parenting education?
So when I was in jail, I completed maybe 3 or 4 different parenting courses they had you could do online. And then I also completed quite a few substance abuse courses that they had online. And the courses were about 2 hours long, and I got certificates for those. And I asked the jail, the COs, if they could email those to my foster care worker, Eva. So I don't know if that ever got done, you know what I mean? But I wrote something, a kite for them, asking them if they could do that. If not, I have the certificates printed off that they printed off for me. So I do have those.
Okay. And then when at this facility that you've been at, have you completed any random drug screens?
Just when I first came in. But
Okay,
if
so you don't,
I can complete one anytime, like, you know, I ask, they can do one for me.
and have you signed any releases for Ms. Copus to be able to speak with anyone at Oakdale?
What are you saying? Did I tell Oakdale that I'm like allowed to, that they're allowed to get my information? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the release of information so that Ms. Copus can contact them and they can share information with her.
No, I did not put her down, but I put my probation officer. But I can, when I'll see, once I'm done with this, I'm gonna see my therapist and I can add her to my list.
All right, thank you. I have no further questions of this witness, Your Honor.
Ms. We didn't actually excuse you.
Yeah, I'm just working on other things. May I
Okay.
officially be excused at this point?
Any objections? Okay.
No objection.
None, thank you.
Very well, yes, thank you, Ms. Heiss. You're welcome
Thank
to
you.
stay as long as you like, but you are officially excused from. Any questions for this witness, Ms. Dumont?
Yes. Ms. Walden, do you know where your transitional housing is gonna be?
I'm not exactly sure right now. I know for sure that Mary's house in Ypsilanti will take me the second week of October, but that's just kind of far away. But I'm also on the waiting list for other houses too. It's just all about calling every day and seeing when I can get in. I'm hoping the first week of October, you know, I can get in somewhere. There's the lighthouse in Plymouth. I'm on that list. And then there's another one in Wayne. I think it's called Next Step or something like that. I'm on that list. I'm on the waiting list for Dawn Farms. So
Okay. You said you were gonna be released this Wednesday?
yes,
Okay, so where do you plan on going between this Wednesday and transitional housing?
I'm not exactly sure yet. I got to figure that out.
Okay, are you able to continue with the inpatient where you're currently at, or do you have to leave by Wednesday?
So I can take a week extension here, and that's probably what I'm gonna do until I can get into transitional. That way I can go straight to transitional.
Okay, and do you believe that would be in your best interest?
Yes. If
Okay,
I can't find somewhere in the next couple of days to go, I'm just gonna ask them for an extension.
okay. And have you been in contact with your probation officer in Lenawee?
No, I have not called her since I've been here. When I first got here, when I was in intake, they asked if I wanted them to get a hold of her, and I said, yeah.
Do you know if you have an active warrant in Lenawee County District Court for a probation violation?
I'm sure I probably do. I'm sure I had one as soon as I left Monroe.
Okay, and do you have a plan on how you're gonna take care of that between now and the next review period?
To be quite honest, no, I don't know.
Okay.
I've really just been here trying to focus on my recovery. So,
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like the court to know with regards to this review period?
just that when I leave here and go to transitional, I'll be able to leave the house and I'll be able to visit my daughter, you know what I mean? So I'll be able to, I believe I can only see her once a week, and it's gonna be supervised visits, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Thank you.
Ms. Berger, any questions?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Any redirect to Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor.
Anyone else you'd like us to hear from?
I actually do.
Miss,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, what, Ms. Berger?
I actually do have a question. I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Miss Walden, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Are you aware if you have any active warrants out for your arrest?
I'm not aware, but I'm sure I do. I mean, I left the rehab I was at, so I'm sure I have a warrant.
Okay, that was a court-ordered rehab?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe, because it wasn't specified, I believe I only had to stay there like 14 days. But, so yeah,
Okay. Do you have any plans to clear those up?
um, I mean, yeah, I have no choice.
Okay. Do you plan to complete treatment before you do that, or do you plan to turn yourself in, anything like that?
I'm definitely completing treatment, and then I definitely want to go transitional because I need it. This is only a 21-day program. I need to be around people who, are involved with NA, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm continuing this is only 21 days. That's nothing. You know what I mean? I need to continue treatment. I need to go to meetings. So, I plan on doing all that and then whatever. I'm gonna have to deal with my warrant. If they lock me up, they lock me up. Jail time isn't really gonna help me. So I'm an addict, you know?
Okay, thank you. No other questions, Your Honor.
Right, any questions based on those questions?
No.
All right, any other witnesses, Ms. Thomas?
Thank you, Your Honor. Briefly, just Ms. Copus, lay foundation for the court report.
Let's come on up there, Ms. Vance. All right, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Copus, you prepared the court report that's before us today. Is that correct?
Yes.
And are there any updates or modifications that need to be made to it that you're aware of?
Just give a huge thanks to the family for maintaining contact with the department. It was how we were able to locate Ms. Walden, through family, talking to family, and then making their efforts with us. And that's how we were able to locate her today where she's at.
Okay, I was going to ask if you were ever able to speak with her or let her, how she knew about today's hearing. Can you just provide us any updates on that point?
Yes, I've been in contact with the placement who has been in contact with certain family members. I've attempted to contact those family members. They weren't too responsive with me. So I did learn that she had gone to the engagement center. They were unable to tell me where they would send her due to confidentiality. And then it got brought to my attention that she was at Oakdale. I called Oakdale today, tried to verify her placement there with them. They were unable to tell me. However, I advised them that she had a foster care case review today, and that if they could pass along the Zoom information, it would be greatly appreciated. And then I just kind of crossed my fingers and hoped she was there.
Wonderful. Are you able to, I think, I know the answer to this, but for the record, are you able to provide a release to Oakdale for them to review with Ms. Walden so that you are able to get updates from them? I know she's not going to be there very long, but is that something that you're capable of doing?
Yes, because the expectation is that we would actually want those records so that we can ensure that she's receiving the right appropriate services moving forward as well.
Wonderful. Your report generally just states that there's been no compliance from Ms. Walden during this review period. Is that a fair description of your court report?
Yes.
Knowing that she has now been in an inpatient treatment program, do you believe that she's in compliance as relates to participating in substance abuse treatment?
At this time, I would say that she is in partial compliance. She is in a program that we do approve of, and we are very happy to see her in that program and her participation today. However, there's a lack of communication and lack of documentation, and so I'm unable to assess whether Ms. Walden is in the appropriate services and what progress she has made.
Given her testimony today about seizures and having a hard time remembering things, are there any additional efforts that you might be able to make moving forward that might assist in mitigating any of the, I guess, lapses in memory, or, if she's not contacting you as required, extra efforts to contact her? Is there anything you can do?
As of right now, we do not have contact information for Ms. Walden. However, once we do, as she was testifying, my thoughts were swirling about this, and I do believe that it might be appropriate to put a parent aid in, such as L&L parenting, so that mom has extra assistance into getting to those, as well as transportation assistance.
Your report is requesting that parenting time just kind of go, if I'm not mistaken, I messed up earlier in a different hearing. So at this time, what is the policy requirement for parenting time for this child?
It would be twice a week.
Okay. And you're requesting just once a week at this time?
We are.
Okay. And can you briefly just highlight the risk of harm to the child's physical health, mental health, or for psychological well-being regarding expanding that parenting time beyond just the one time?
At the time of the writing of the report, we were unsure and unaware of Ms. Walden's status with her substance abuse, as well as any of the other services that she potentially had worked for. And so it was unclear whether she was safe to be around Lucky. Lucky continues to grow and do well. She does not seem to seek her mother out in any manner. But really it was Ms. Walden's absence between stays and her exit while in jail that was prompting us to make that recommendation.
Okay. With a parent aid in place, would there need to be like some level of, some time frame for confirming visits?
Right. Typically, we have them confirm approximately 2 hours prior to the visit.
And you can, when Ms. Walden's in transitional housing and releases are signed, that's something that you could even discuss with whoever, like the manager is, about what parenting time guidelines look like for whatever home she ends up in.
Correct. We would ultimately collaborate with that facility to see what their visitation schedule and rules are, so that we could adhere to them as well.
Okay, wonderful. For some of these things that require referrals, like the psychological evaluation, is there anything that you're able to do about that at this point in time? Are you able to make that referral?
Without contact information, I was not able to make those referrals. As soon as mother re-engages, and as it appears she has today, we can get that contact information and get those referrals move forward.
Wonderful. Is there anything else that you would like to give the court an update on, whether it's the child's well-being or anything else?
Lucky is doing well. Her medical and dental came back with a clean bill of health. Her early on assessment was completed. She was also meeting all her milestones. She is not fully vaccinated at the request of the mother, and the department has honored that thus far. And we intend to continue following through. And when Ms. Walden and I are in person, we'll discuss the avenues to take to actually sign the formal waiver and things of that nature. I do believe, based on my contact with the jail, that mother did have contact with Mr. Matthews, on several occasions. That's my only concern, is that she continues to have contact with him, and that she continued. It was reported that while she was between rehab, she was also with him in his care.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that? I'm sorry, did you say the jail informed you there was contact between Ms. Walden and Mr. Matthews?
So I was concerned that there was contact, and I was attempting to make an additional effort to locate either parent. And so the jail provided me with call logs for Ms. Walden from June 4th to July 25th. And from what I could tell, approximately there was 11 phone calls based on the phone number in my SAC was for Mr. Matthews.
The same phone number that Ms. Kelly would have had access to?
Yes.
Okay. And then you said the dates between leaving Monroe and going to the engagement center, there were concerns that she might have also been with him?
There was reports from the family that she was with Mr. Matthews.
Did they see her with him, or did she tell that to them?
It was reported to the relatives.
Okay. What is the concern about their relationship or their contact with one another?
My concern is that it's being reported to us that he may be the source of mother's using substances. Concern was that he had not come forward, and that he was there around the time of mother's arrest, and that he had active warrants himself.
So the criminality and substance use.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Okay. With that, Your Honor, I have no further questions of Ms. Kopis. Your Honor, if you're willing, I would ask the court to accept the court report, but I fully understand, given the testimony and the proof of service, if you do not, that Ms. Walden did not have adequate time to review this court report. I attempted to go down the case service plan with her, and I think it's clear her level of compliance. I think she testified truthfully about, being incarcerated in a facility. But with that, I would leave it to this court's discretion as to whether or not to accept it at this point in time.
Objections?
No.
Your Honor,
I would object to the admission of the court report until my client has viewed it.
I would offer to you the opportunity to cross-examine, or in other words, leave it open until our next review period, so that if there are, after she's had a chance to look at it, she would be able to bring to my attention at that point anything that she found inconsistent or needed to ask further questions on, if that would work.
That works, thank you.
All right, I'll note that in the order, and with that being said, I will accept the court report as part of our file moving forward. Cross-examination for this witness?
Yes, Ms. Lopez, what can Ms. Walden do to expand her parenting time, if that's possible within this next review period, from the once a week supervised parenting time?
Moving forward, the expectation and what we'll be looking for is to maintain her sobriety. So once we're in that transitional housing, making sure that she's in cooperation and coordination with me so that we can schedule, one, we can ensure that she's going to the additional services needed, as well as we can drug screen her to ensure that she is doing as she needs to, and then I will make the referrals for the parenting education and the psychological evaluation. So really maintaining her sobriety and communication is the key point for me moving forward in this reporting period.
Okay, and then are you willing to look at the parenting class and the substance abuse classes that she's completed while incarcerated if she provides those to you?
Absolutely. I am actually would like to thank Mom for doing those services, because those are things that we had communicated to her at the very beginning. And she had been communicating as she was doing services in the jail when we had her. She was communicating that those were being done. I have not received the copies of them, so I will have to get with her on getting those for the file. But she has been consistent all along with those services.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions, Ms. Berger?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. May I return to your seat? Thank you. Any other witnesses, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Dumont?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Berger?
No witnesses today, Your Honor, thank you.
Comments in closing? Ms. Thomas?
No comments, Your Honor. Thank you.
Ms. Dumont?
Your Honor, we will make sure that Ms. Walden gets the court and her caseworker her new contact information so she can review that court report and exchange some of the things that she has been doing along with signing releases to show that she's completing her treatment. Thank you.
Ms. Berger?
Thank you, Your Honor. I would just ask for another review period in this case. The child is doing really well where she is, but I would like to see Mom have some time to really make some progress on this case and see if she can maintain her sobriety and work through some services.
Yeah. Well, the court finds all interested parties were given notice for purposes of today's review hearing. The child is in the safest and least restrictive placement under the circumstances. He is being well taken care of by his grandparents, while Ms. Walden attends to, for her testimony, some very timely and well received rehabilitation efforts. She was, of course, unavailable to the child until August 21st due to incarceration, and then from there she went immediately, it sounds like, into services for substance abuse diagnosis and treatment, which is good news. I do consider that to be progress that she's made. Nevertheless, as she indicated herself, 21 days is really nothing on the path of the road to recovery. And we also have some other things that we need her to tackle, like some parenting education, some education around relationship dynamics that may pose danger to herself and her child if she were returned to her care, as well as look at some parenting education around abuse and neglect and what substance use disorder can do to affect those things as well. So there's many things that we're going to be looking for Kayla to focus on in the next review period. But I do want to say I'm glad to see her appearing from her rehabilitation center and congratulate her on her progress on that point. So as far as our caseworker and our GAL, thank you, ladies, as well as our attorneys for all the efforts that you're putting in. Certainly everyone is in satisfaction of their efforts. The other thing we're going to be looking for Kayla to do in the next report period is to communicate with Ms. Kopus. Some progress has been made on that point today, but the court report is absent some of the important pieces of information that frankly credits Ms. Kayla Walden with progress on her services or her issues and challenges. So that's a paramount piece of that as well, is to stay in contact with Ms. Kopus. So hopefully Kayla will be able to do that better moving forward. And until then, the child will remain with relative placement. Our next hearing will be a permanency planning hearing in addition to the review. The child has been removed since June 4th, 2024. So as of December 10th, that is the 6-month mark. That is when the court must start looking at permanency. And I respect Ms. Walden for her decisions that she's made up to this point. But we're going to really need her to demonstrate that she's serious about continuing on her road to recovery, as well as tackling some of those other challenges in order to continue to justify those efforts moving forward. Our child is doing well, as she knows, being taken care of well, relatives. And so that will be something the court will have to look at in our next hearing. Unless there's any questions, that's all for today. We'll see you again on December 10th at 10 o'clock in the morning. Please stay on the line, Ms. Walden, for a few minutes so we can get some.